Good evening, everyone. I want to say that it's good to see you, but that somehow doesn't sound or feel correct. So let me just thank you for allowing us to share this evening with you. My staff and I think about this night throughout the year, and we hope to once again make this ceremony worthy of your loved ones. And let me just say before I get into my prepared remarks, to every New York City police officer, New York City firefighter, every New York City first responder, thank you for what you do for the people of the city of New York. And to every man and woman who puts on a uniform in service of this nation, we are indebted to you. God bless. I'm not sure how many more privileged moments like this I will have to come before you. So I ask you to indulge me tonight to maybe go on a bit too long and go to a place that might be a little bit unexpected. In September of 1863, as the Civil War raged, Union supporters in President Abraham Lincoln's hometown of Springfield, Illinois, asked him to speak at a pro-union rally. Lincoln could not attend, but he wrote a letter that he asked to be read to the gathered crowd by his longtime friend, James S. Conklin. The letter included the following sentence: "Let's diligently apply the means, never doubting that a just God will give us the right result." That a just God will give us the right result. If you were to poll each of the elected officials on the dais, the local, the city, and state folks alike, I'm sure each could tell you his or her favorite historical figure or the individual from whom they derive great inspiration. In this day of seemingly ever-growing hyper-partisanship, the fact that people in both major political parties often cite Lincoln is telling. The longer I do this job, the more difficult the public climate around me becomes, the more I look for inspiration in the words of people like Lincoln, to soothe me, to buffer me, and to push me to dig deeper to fulfill the promise and potential that public service still affords those of us who do the job as it should be done. I'm not sure what it was like when the aspiring young Lincoln took office, but when you're an elected official on Staten Island, there is no rule book or instruction manual handed to you on day one. There is no school you attend to learn all the things you must do to be an effective local representative. Some of us had the privilege of working as staffers for other elected officials, and we learned from the good people around us. But even then, more often than not, you still rely on the values instilled in you, the core beliefs you've developed to date, and you try to tap into any God-given talents you may have, which hopefully includes a modicum of common sense. When all of that doesn't help, or when in doubt, I usually just emote. And you have seen, for better and for worse, where that has gotten me. When you're an elected official on Staten Island, it comes at you fast and furiously, and you have to be a jack of all trades. Sometimes you're asked to do ceremonial things, the kind of pomp and circumstance events. I don't particularly enjoy that. Things seem to take forever to get done in government. Sometimes you have to show patience and allow the process to play itself out. I'm not particularly good at that. Sometimes you need to stand up and speak truth to power. I kind of like that. And occasionally you need to break out a rhetorical flamethrower to drive a point home and really shake up the bureaucracy and status quo. I'm pretty darn good at that. But sometimes you're asked to do what at first blush feels like the impossible. Something that goes well beyond budgets and briefings, something that is visceral and touches the core of your humanity. Something that requires a canvassing of your own emotional backyard. You're asked to be sort of comforter-in-chief. Your job is to speak on behalf of a borough of nearly 500,000 people strong, and you have to find the means to demonstrate our continued unity in the face of immeasurable hurt and loss, and find the right way to genuinely convey our collective sorrow, appreciation, and respect. We're asked to look folks in the eyes, put our hands on their shoulders, and assure fellow Staten Islanders who have endured unbearable tragedy and pain that we are and always will be there for them. Sometimes it's literally and figuratively embracing them, figuring out how to channel the prayers and well wishes of an entire borough through the platform we have been given, so that we can demonstrate to them that no amount of time or space will ever make us forget them or their families. My friends and colleagues on the dais, my staff at Borough Hall, and I endeavor to do all of that for you this evening, 15 years after the day that took our friends and family and changed lives forever. I started by speaking about the power of words, and indeed they are mighty. But now, sort of ensconced in middle age, I am more aware than ever of their limitations. As I get older, as I encounter loss on a more personal scale, as I am confronted by mortality of others in my own, the more I realize the words I spoke of earlier, even of the great Lincoln, do not provide the spiritual balm I require. And that process, that conversation that plays out in my head time and again, ultimately leads to an unavoidable conclusion. The questions I have, the answers I'm seeking are grounded in something deeper than words. Perhaps that struggle is best captured by the sentiment often attributed to St. Augustine that doubt is but another element of faith. A couple of years ago, the Archbishop of Canterbury, the Most Reverend Justin Welby, had a personal, candid conversation about faith in a very public manner. Sadly, it stirred up a major controversy, and some in the media did what some in the media often do, with one news outlet calling it, quote, the doubt of the century. But in an opinion piece published in the New York Times entitled, Doubt as a Sign of Faith, Julia Baird wrote, just as courage is persisting in the face of fear, so faith is persisting in the presence of doubt. Faith becomes then a commitment, a practice, and a pact that is usually sustained by belief. But doubt is not a vulnerability. It can also be a strength. Doubt acknowledges our own limitations and confirms or challenges fundamental beliefs and is not a detractor of belief, but a crucial part of it. Many are blessed to be free of any such doubts. Some of you may know the story of Staten Island's Tommy Monahan. Tommy was a 9-year-old boy, a beautiful soul who at an early age showed a love and an advanced appreciation for nature and all creatures. He tragically lost his life in December of 2007 when he ran back into his family's burning home to attempt to rescue his beloved Yorkshire Terrier, Sophie. It was a heartbreaking story that impacted many Staten Islanders, the overwhelming majority of whom did not know this child or his family, but was so moved by his love and goodness. Tommy's grandmother, Patricia Monahan, has written a book entitled To Thee We Do Cry, a grandmother's journey through grief. Pat is a rather amazing lady in her own right. She's a woman of faith, and her book has been described as a glorious affirmation of that faith. It is intended not only to keep Tommy's memory alive, but is her way of reaching others whose faith may have been shattered following the loss of a loved one. Chapter 6 of that book is entitled Signs of Tommy, and in it Pat describes specific moments, events, and happenings since Tommy's passing that she believes were manifestations of Tommy's presence. The chapter concludes with this. As I sit on my front porch writing at this moment, I can hear Tommy through the bird songs and the freedom of the butterfly sitting on my porch flower. Signs of a thunderstorm are starting to appear. I guess Tommy's reminding me he can make all the noise he wants right now. I hear laughter with the sounds of the thunder. I see his spirit flying swiftly through the breeze as it spins my hanging plants, flaps around our American flag atop our flagpole, and rustles the trees. I hear and see you, Tommy. I love you no matter what form you take. You are forever in our hearts and minds. My prayer tonight is that 15 years later you are buoyed by your own faith, perhaps doubts and all. My hope is that you have been sustained by the belief that in the end, Lincoln was correct and a just God will give us the right result. For those of you who share Pat Monahan's clarity, I hope the support of 500,000 Staten Islanders, combined with the love and prayers of all those gathered here tonight, the stirring renditions of the beautiful songs you will hear this peaceful late summer night, the striking backdrop of the amazing Postcards Memorial, together create an atmosphere, a context for you to genuinely feel your loved one's presence. And for those of you like me who have struggled to fully appreciate that doubt does not denote a lack of faith, I ask you to join me on this 15th anniversary in endeavoring to embrace those words of Ralph Waldo Emerson, all I have seen teaches me to trust the Creator for all I have not seen. Your loved ones lost on September 11, 2001 are remembered and honored tonight. You are remembered tonight. Your families continue to be in our hearts, our souls, and our minds. I don't know when, and I can't tell you how, but I hold on to the notion, and I hope you do as well, that for you, your families, and your loved ones lost, a just God will give us the right result. Thank you again for being here, and God bless.